Yeah, we are live.
Thank you, Rajulal. Yes. Hello, everybody. I welcome you all to IIW's talk show, The Badass Beauty. IIW is inspiring Indian women, and the motto is uplift, support, and rise. IIW has collaborated with many organizations. For example, with Wiki, we are running a helpline for preventing and helping the domestic abuse victims. Today, we are organizing this talk show, which we usually do on every Saturday. Today's guest is Mrs. Nidhi Arora. She is the founder of Children's Post of India. She is also the founder of Isha and also the co-founder of Top Gain. I would request Nidhi ji to please take us through this journey wherein she has founded 3 organizations and she is running them so successfully. Nidhi ji, over to you, please.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here. I just ran through the work you do and it is truly brilliant. I have a lot of appreciation for that work. I do 3 things. The first is the Children's Post of India, which is a news portal which creates curated content which children can read independently. The second is Top Gain Consulting, which works on providing niche business advisory services. We work largely with promoter-led organizations in India.
Okay.
And the third thing we do is Isha, ESHA, not ISHA, which is an NGO that works with the visual ability, special ability. And we work on 2 main areas. The first is knowledge democracy, which is my personal mission in life. Knowledge democracy stands for equitable access to knowledge. Everybody should have equitable access to knowledge. And the second vertical we have, under knowledge democracy at Isha, we have Clabble, which is Central Library of Audiobooks in Indian languages. It has content in 23 Indian languages and is 100% volunteer recorded. And the second vertical we have is general public sensitization, because we believe that people don't want to be exclusive. It's not that when you're walking on the road, you want someone who's in a wheelchair to not use that footpath or pavement. It's just that it's not a part of our public conversations, and therefore it's not a part of our mindset. So we work a lot on general public sensitization towards special ability.
So 3 different organizations, 3 different areas.
Very different.
So diverse and so multidimensional. How do you manage all 3?
Some things that help, in fact, this is a question I get asked very often. Some things that help is, number one is very compartmentalized about work. Like if a certain time is devoted to doing X work, it will only be devoted to doing that work. The second is, as far as possible, we try and templatize our work processes. So for Clabble, Central Library of Audiobooks, we have now been running a summer program in which students sit at home and volunteer. And if you've been in, in India, a lot of places in summer are too hot to go out and do voluntary field work. So children can sit at home and record audio content. Now, when you go to a blind school and do reading, it's very good, but it only benefits that one child at one time. But when you do an audio recording and upload it to a central library, then it can be accessed by people in any part of the country on whenever they need it, not whenever you are available to go and do the reading. So that program has been running successfully for over a decade now. And like that, we templatize, we sort of, make it possible. And you will be very happy to know that the Isha summer program is project managed also by students. Students manage the entire summer program. So we train them on project management and then we give the program to them to manage.
Okay, wonderful. This is so wonderful. So when you say children, what is the age range between?
About 14 to 17.
14 to 17. Okay. So 14 years old to 17-year-olds are managing the entire project. It is so wonderful.
Yes, and it's a student volunteering program. So the other volunteers are also students like themselves.
Wow. When you say Isha, I have heard about many blind organizations. I know about a blind association which is in Ahmedabad, which is very famous. And they
Yes.
do a lot of, yeah. So they do a lot of work wherein, they also make the people there stitch something and make
Mhm.
cards. And so anything, something like that, which you also do?
No, we work on only two verticals. The first is knowledge democracy, and the second is this general public sensitization. So,
I
under
see.
general public sensitization, we have events which we ourselves have developed. There was a theater workshop which was conducted by a VI professional for sighted participants. So, you
Oh,
don't think about, the specially abled when you think of theater. But
yes.
here, this person is teaching others how to do theater. That used to be a very successful workshop. Now we do something called blind walks, which we do at schools, colleges, offices, and public places, where we invite a person to experience that public space as a blind person would experience it for maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes. So there is no preaching involved in all work of Isha. There's no preaching involved, but
Mm-hmm.
that 4, 5 minute experience is an eye-opening experience for them. Pun completely not intended.
Okay, okay, okay. How do children enroll for this summer internship? There must be people who must be watching this live telecast. If they want to be part of it, how do they approach?
So the Isha blog, Isha blog, we make the
Okay,
announcement sometime in April,
I
and
see.
the project runs from April to July. July 10th-ish is when we usually close the program.
I see.
Uh,
I see.
the program is very, you obviously do get a certificate, and Isha is a registered NGO, so that certificate is valid.
Mhm.
The program is very outcome oriented.
Okay.
So if you have committed to giving, these recordings, those recordings will be given at the end of the week,
Okay. Okay.
and it's 100% remote. You work from wherever you are. You want to do a blind walk in, you're sitting in Bhopal and you want to do a blind walk in your neighborhood park, we will teach you how to do that blind walk in your neighborhood park. And the children also get like hugely sensitized after these programs.
It's such a wonderful way of sensitizing people.
It is, it's very beautiful experience.
I really wanted to know more about knowledge democracy, Nidhi. If you can please, give us a little more input into as to what is knowledge democracy. I like the
My
term.
favorite topic, I would
I
love to give
like the
you.
term. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like this, when you think about the world in terms of haves and have-nots, you
Yes.
think in terms of people who have money and people who don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
Let me introduce you to a different kind of have and have-not.
Okay.
People who have access to knowledge on demand and people who don't have access to knowledge on demand. If you are from my generation, you are
Mm-hmm.
from the generation that has gone to the library to research,
Definitely.
look for
Definitely.
books, look for journals, made your notes, and come out of the library.
Hmm.
And from that experience, gone to an experience where you can type google.com, enter the search terms, and have 14,000 search results waiting for you.
Exactly. Hmm.
So, in terms of access to knowledge, that is nothing short of a revolution. But
Hmm.
this revolution that happened for people like you and me did not happen for 70% of India's population. Why? Number one, because English is not even the third language for a large part of our population, and most knowledge resources are created in English.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Internet access now is very different from where it was even 10 years ago,
Hmm.
but access to knowledge has not. We thought it will improve a lot with access to the internet, but that has not
Right.
happened. Part of it is
Hmm.
user behavior, but part of it is also in the nature of knowledge resources that we have been creating.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Secondly, India's effective literacy is very different from India's reported literacy. So these
I
two
see.
factors combine to ensure that the knowledge revolution that has happened for a lot of people in urban India has not happened for up to 70% of our population. Okay,
Okay.
so I started thinking about this in about 2010 when we
Hmm.
started
Hmm.
Climate Project, and
Hmm.
obviously I was thinking is I worked with visual disability my whole adult life, so my perspective started from there.
I see.
Braille literacy was going down. When you go to blind schools, you understand how important knowledge is and how it is transforming the world outside a blind school, and how
Hmm.
little it is doing inside a blind school. So that's how we started the audio books initiative, and we made it online and central and free to download and everything, so that we make knowledge available. But I will now run you through 2-3 cases of what happens when you take knowledge away from a person.
Oh, yes.
Case one, let me take you through Rajulal. Rajulal is a very small trader. He sits in any small town of India. He could be a locksmith, he could be a small kirana trader, he could be a small shop owner, whichever way. Okay, now the thing is, he understands year on year that the Diwali gifts he's buying for his family are getting cheaper. The quality of fruits that's coming into his house is getting, lower, but he doesn't understand what's happening, why that is happening. Okay. And why doesn't he understand? Not because he's stupid. He doesn't understand because he doesn't have access to knowledge on demand that will explain to him concepts like, so when let's say he's a kirana store person, he will pick up 10 packets of Colgate from the wholesaler and bring it. And he will say 5 rupees 80 paisa, I can sell it at 6 rupees. He does not know that there is a cost of transportation that he has to build into his cost.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And when you take knowledge away from these people, this is how you impact their lives. Second case is a case of Rajna. She is a small town bride in a small town of Himachal. And I use the example of Himachal because Amrita Preetham wrote a story about it called Boo. Okay. But she could be a small town bride in any part of the country. Okay. And she has grown up with the idea that my father beats my mother, therefore my husband will beat me. Oh. And you know that there are many such women around us, 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old. Now, this beautiful girl sitting in some part of India has no idea that between her mother's generation and her generation, people have gone to the parliament and passed something called the Domestic Violence Act. Right. And unlike her mother, she has the option of going to the police station and creating an entry. And her husband cannot beat her as a matter of course. That is the difference you're making to that girl's life because she doesn't have access to that knowledge on demand.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So the third case is a case of, and this is a case of my father, and it's a case of many, many people. And my hunt for knowledge democracy started from my father's hunt for knowledge. He had to give up schooling after grade 8 because he had to support the family.
Right.
And he had a lifelong thirst for knowledge, but he was not literate enough. Okay. And since all the knowledge resources got created in English, he would sit and ask us, Acha, now news obviously he would read in Hindi, but when it was things like history, things like the latest in science, what's happening, what are scientists working on around the world, he would ask us, and we would try to explain to him in Hindi or Punjabi or whatever we could. But I realized that, like my father, there are millions of Indians who have had to give up education for some reason or another. And their internal thirst for knowledge is not quenched by this entire knowledge revolution.
Okay.
That is how we impact people's lives when we don't give them knowledge democracy.
My God, so much of work must be going into this, and so much of effort you are putting in changing people's lives. So we have such people on the show, especially so that, people can get inspired, listen to the stories, and then you inspire people who are watching the video, they would inspire others.
Amen to that.
Yes, yes. Since you are the co-founder of Top Gain, and it mentioned that you are into strategic consultancy with mid-level or SME clients. So if I can have the pleasure of knowing this SME clients, how many of them would be women, women entrepreneurs, if that is something which you can share maybe or not.
So I'll give you another, this thing. I'm also an entrepreneur myself with the Children's Post. And I'm a part of 3 women entrepreneur programs, 3 different women entrepreneur programs.
Okay.
And my experience is, we started Children's Post 4.5 years ago. And my experience is that women entrepreneurship is making huge strides today. One part, and we have to give credit where it's due, is that a lot of regulatory and formal infrastructure has been put in place specifically to help women entrepreneurs. I was a part of AIC Banasthali, Atal Incubation Center Banasthali program for women
Okay.
And it's a program that is, in collaboration with the American Embassy.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of those sessions, I cannot tell you. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm an MBA by education, which means that my education wasn't running a business. My advisory is in working with SME clients. And yet the quality of those sessions was so amazing. That kind of infrastructure has been put in place to support women entrepreneurship. Also, this has been my experience as an entrepreneur, is that women support each other a lot as entrepreneurs. Whether it is technology, marketing, SEO, matlab, if one of us knows something, we will make sure we teach everybody else.
So good to hear that. So we are so collaborative that way.
We are. It is very good.
Very good. Now, what is the one thing which you do every day? Managing all three things, managing a family must be a hectic schedule. But one thing which you do for yourself every day.
I meditate.
Okay. Okay.
And I read a little bit every day. About 1.5 to 2 hours goes into my professional growth.
I see. Okay. And that is what you would maybe advise to all the women who and the men also who would be seeing this live Facebook.
To every professional, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, at least 10 to 20% of your day has to go into learning what is new in your profession. Part of my profession at Top Gain is IT, which, as you know, is changing every day.
Oh,
And
yes.
within IT, the portfolio is huge. So
Exactly.
obviously one has to stay updated. There is also a lot happening in people management. So all my professional areas,
Mm-hmm.
and use for children, which is again a professional area for me, and the development sector. So 1.5, 2 hours every day goes into reading up on my professional growth, my areas.
Could you please put some light on how is this new, since we are talking about children a lot, what do you think about this new educational policy, the national education policy which has come up?
Like all great policies, the key is implementation. The thought is definitely right. My favorite part of NEP is that it is finally giving respect and credit to vocational education,
Oh,
which
yes.
has long been denied in Indian education system. But everything depends on execution.
Okay.
And a large part of that education is the personal ambition of Indian parents.
So I joined the Children's Post of India. I had sent a request and I was accepted. And so many posts are there. It is so fun reading that. Can you share some insights from the Children's Post of India? Something which has really touched your heart, which you want to share with people, for the betterment of the entire society.
I'll first tell you the story of how Children's Post came about.
Okay,
Children's
please.
Post of India was the only daily that was available for home subscription in India. And it was started because I wanted a newspaper for my own child and could not find a daily that we could. So it's a print at home, which may look very small to you. But the thing is, if you live in hilly areas, the newspaper will not come before 12 o'clock. And then if it rains, the newspaper will not come at all.
Oh.
Okay, so the beauty of print at home was twofold. One, that a child struggles with the size of even a tabloid. It's too huge for a child's hands.
Right.
So instead of saying this is too huge for my hands, child will say, I don't want to read this. But with an A4, the child feels completely in control. Secondly, and more importantly, because it aligns directly with my mission of knowledge democracy, is that my hill children, and when we stopped, we were being read in every single part of India. Including Arunachal, Sikkim, the entire Northeast, hard to reach parts of Himachal Pradesh, where normally the newspaper would reach, like I said, either at noon or if it rains, not at all. The news that they got were the same news that a child sitting in a metro would get in Gurgaon or Mumbai or Chennai would get. And we explained concepts like brain-computer interface, machine programming, which many children in the metros also don't understand. We explained those concepts to our children. And one thing that I want to share, which has changed my life, people say that a lot of lives changed because of the children's post, but my life changed also because of children's post, is that, we reached 11,000 schools in December 2021 when we stopped the daily paper. Okay. Even at 200 children per school, that's 22 lakh children. And we would get emails from these children. If I just read out a small list of places from where we have got these emails, okay? Ezimala in Kerala, Yingkiong in Arunachal Pradesh, Changlang in Arunachal. Changlang is really up north in Arunachal Pradesh. Sunam in Punjab, Tezu, Bandrol, Nangal Chowk. Nangal Chowk is actually a chalk between two state highways in Himachal Pradesh. Sriviliputtur, Bandalaguda, Manivakkam, Rampur Bushehr. Rampur Bushehr is a district headquarter in eastern Himachal Pradesh. It's the gateway to Lahaul Spiti, so people who've been there. Loni Kalbhor, Munoli, Thalassery, Tenkasi, Tohana, Amravati Nagar, Azara, Kagithapuram, Pekhubela, all these places. And there are like many such places. Every time I would get an email from one such place, I would open Google Maps and see. And the beauty of these small towns of India, intelligence of those children when they would share their views, the creativity of those children, I cannot tell you, it is mind-blowing. And before Children's Post, I would not have believed. But today, if somebody tells me that, a child sitting in a non-metro or in a small village, and believe me, I've got emails from villages in India. I've got emails from when you're on a state highway, and there are some 5-10 houses on both sides of the state highway, and within 5 minutes that village is gone. I've got emails from those villages. Okay. Wonderful. Those children are amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I am so hopeful about the future of this country because I have been in touch with the next generation of Indians and they are phenomenal.
It gives so much of confidence to us that, the future of the country is in able hands now.
Very able hands.
I would like to end this session with one thing. You must have faced many difficult situations also during this journey. Maybe one or two incidences when there was a difficult situation, and how did you come out of it?
Okay, so there have been multiple difficult situations, but the way I've come out of each of them is similar, and it may not work for everybody.
But
so I told you I meditate a lot.
Yes.
And Isha, especially, it was started in 2005. It's been a 16-year journey with Isha.
Okay.
Multiple times, and we started the Braille Cards business. So if you see a Braille enabled visiting card in India, we started it in India, and it is now run by 2 VI professionals in Bangalore who service cards all over India. So that time in 2005, when I started talking about, we should have Braille enabled visiting cards, people would say, why would anyone take Braille enabled visiting card? So we had to do education on that and create a whole sector out of nothing. Obviously, there were a lot of challenges in implementing that, getting companies to put Braille on their visiting cards and things like that. So I meditate every day and I say, okay, my job is to sit here and fret until you, dear God, find a way. And that happens. You just have to stay steadfast on your mission. And personally, I'm very mission driven. It matters a lot. And people will come forward to help from very unexpected quarters. When we started Children's Post, I was doing all the editions. Within 2 months, we had 7 mothers making 1 edition a week. 2 months. And I never went and asked. I just said, whoever heard about it, they said, no, I want this for my child too. So it was God up there doing the whole thing. My job is to sit and fret until the right person comes along and it gets solved. But to stay the course, not give up and say, okay, ye to ho nahi raha hai. Ho jayega.
Much appreciated, Nidhi ji. I hope everybody seeing this Facebook Live is inspired by, how you are managing and how you have inspired life. Anything you want to add before I say thank you to everybody who has joined the live Facebook session?
That's it. Thank you so much for having me here. It has been a pleasure, a true pleasure.
It was our pleasure, Nidhi ji, for sure, for sure. And we'll definitely have many more meetings as we go ahead.
I look forward to that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nidhi ji. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.